Last time I spent about a week outside of Elk City in the woods exploring and crossing the Magruder Corridor, and then I headed south to McCall on the advice of my friend John, who I rode with in Mechanic Zoo. And I looked around McCall a little bit, and then I went north again up into the Payette National Forest and found a really nice camping spot. My first day out, I stumbled into one of the wonders I had seen online, as I follow a lot of adventure motorcyclists, and apparently this is a pretty popular photo stop. So of course I had to stop there because it related to me more so than anybody else that I had seen with pictures in front of this vehicle. Don't ask me why we do it. It's just what we do. I'm not sure why. It's just the thing that everybody else does, so we do it too. Every year, somebody gets gored by a bison in the national parks because we're just trying to get a picture, a selfie in front of something amazing. That's just what we do. Funny, I've seen pictures of this Skoolie on the web, mostly motorcycle adventure guys that zooming past, and they all had to take the mandatory picture. But it's kind of interesting looking at what's left of this old Skoolie. If somebody hadn't shot holes all in it, it would probably still be, relatively watertight, and it's really interesting how roomy it is in here with no furniture. There's a lot of space in here, and it seems you could clean it out, and well, if there weren't so many damn holes in it and the windows weren't missing, I think it'd still be a workable project. But obviously somebody's abused it because it's been sitting here, but it's still pretty cool. Classic old bus. Reminds me of the bus, the wandering dude, Into the Wild. That guy reminds me of his bus because it's that classic era. But anyway, I just had to stop and get a photo op since I'm a Skoolie. Looks like it had an old wood burning stove. Somebody took that out, of course. Looks like maybe all the stuff of any kind of value was removed, but it just makes you wonder what was the cause of the end here. Was it mechanical failure? How did this thing meet its end? Did it just run out of its useful life? Because the steel frame looks pretty good, other than some rust in the front. It's still, shit. Kind of makes me sad. Kind of makes me sad to see something like this end, which I've been close to mine coming to an end already, and I've only had mine about a year. But anyway, just thought the Skoolie folks would get a kick out of a tour of what's left of a classic old Skoolie. I know I got a kick out of seeing it. As I left the lush, thick, and green forest of the Payette and approached the Salmon River Canyon, I could tell the scenery and the vegetation was changing dramatically. As hit the rim of the canyon, I noticed that the trees almost disappeared, as if it were a desert in this canyon. It was at this point that I started approaching other riders, and I had forgotten to this point how active this area is for adventure riders. There is no doubt in my mind what attracts these adventure riders to this road. The steep, twisting, and narrow dirt roads of this canyon with the spectacular switchbacks and views. They're just incomparable. After rolling down the switchbacks into the Salmon Valley, I got a chance to roll alongside the Salmon River, which was outstanding. Very cool bridges all along the way, huge canyon walls, and a beautiful river, and the spectacle was hard to beat. It was hot as hell down there, or I probably would have moved the bus back up to Riggins and gone up this far, even further. Well, I'm not really sure if the bus would have fit across this bridge because it's a nice tight turn. But anyway, it's there's several places to park, and I could have pulled the boat out and played in some of the rapids and paddled, a few sections. But this was just extraordinary, and lots of people on the water on the weekends, and lots of riding to do. And I just like usual, I just scratched the surface of what's out there, and I found this pretty cool walking bridge. I think it was a walking bridge, and on the other side it was some single track, but it was closed to motorcycles, so I just went down to the beach and turned around and went back. But I think this was one of the bridges that got washed out by the flood 100 years ago or something like that. But I don't know, it's just pretty cool being able to ride across little walking bridges like this, and it's kind of semi-gated at the other side, so I'm not really sure why why it was wide enough to let a motorcycle in and nothing else. But I just took the opportunity. Didn't see any signs that said no motorcycles, so and motorcycles and hikers and bicyclists all share the same trails in Idaho, or at least a majority of the ones I've seen. If you can walk on it or pedal a bicycle, you can ride a motorcycle typically, at least in the forest. And like I said, there's lots of people on the water, and some really nice water. It's nice rapids with pools on either side, the kind of stuff that I like. A place to recover your boat and your paddle when you go through some nasty rapids. But yeah, most of it was pretty gentle. There was some boiling stuff in a couple of places, but nothing too extreme. Just nice float for the most part. I kind of regret I didn't get to do it, but I'm sure I'll have another chance at some point. As I crawled back up the canyon, I went a different route, and when I found this four-wheeler trail that was pretty rugged in a few spots, but very interesting. And all the four-wheelers I passed seemed very shocked to see me up there. Seemed like they were having a real hard time on a lot of these sections. But I finally got off the four-wheeler side-by-side section and got back onto the dirt road proper, and was able to get a little bit more speed built up as I got out of the canyon. But all in all, this was just a fantastic day of riding and exploring, and one of the out-of-the-way places that I would highly recommend that you visit if you have the chance. Join me next time as I continue to explore the Payette and discover an 85-foot fire tower that I climbed to the top of.